Ladies and gentlemen, this picture that you're looking at is the brother that had the hood over his head and he was murdered by the Rochester police. This is Daniel Prude, and he suffered from mental illness. He had a history of that. And it was his brother Joe that had called the police because he said his brother was acting strange. And we saw how this ended. He lost his life. So, ladies and gentlemen, his brother is speaking out. So, this is NPR, September 4th, 2020. And they are protesting in Rochester, New York. This happened months ago. It just seems like the worst of the worst cases always have a big delay before we hear about these cases. It was the same way with Breonna Taylor and Ahmaud Arbery. By the time we heard it, they were dead for a few months already. And it's the same thing when it comes down to Daniel Prude. I'm going to go ahead and play this audio from NPR.
Yesterday, Joe Prude told me about his brother Daniel.
We had a wonderful relationship as brothers, and, like I said before, and I keep saying, Daniel was very charismatic. He was a good dude all the way around. He was, down to earth, a good, generous man at heart. He loved the individuals as himself as a human being. And the much overall and it sums him up, man, he was a good Samaritan.
On March 23rd, Joe Prude got worried. His brother had a history with mental illness, and he just wasn't acting like himself. Earlier in that day, he had sent his brother to a psychiatric hospital. They released him hours later. Joe Prude says Daniel wasn't properly evaluated, and he wasn't given any medication to help. The two brothers were talking together in Joe's house.
We was laughing and reminiscing about old days.
Joe then left the room for a moment, and when he returned, his brother Daniel was gone. Because of Daniel's mental health issues, Joe called 911.
For a person like that you love so much to just disappear and thin out, it's like, wow, how did I lose sight of him that quick when I had my whole eye on him the whole time? And in the process, of me trying to figure out which way he went, I immediately got on the phone with 911. This is what the outcome. I called him for to lynch my brother. I didn't call him to come help my brother die. I called him to come help me get my brother some help.
What happened when the police showed up?
But when the police showed back up to my house for the call, after, me placing the call to them once again, officer asked me, is anything wrong with him? I said, no. They said, well, is he a threat to anybody? I said, yeah, to himself. But he ain't no threat to nobody else, and don't y'all kill my brother.
Daniel Prude had left his brother's house in below freezing temperatures, wearing just long underwear and a tank top. When police caught up with him, he was naked, and the newly released body cam footage shows police putting some kind of hood over his head. Prude gasps for air and vomits.
Everything that they did, they didn't have to do. That excessive force they used on him, the push-up stands on his neck, the knee in his back, holding his legs, that wasn't called for. They didn't have no dignity in what they was doing to my brother. They treated my brother like he was an animal in the street, a stray.
According to police reports, Daniel Prude eventually fell unconscious and stopped breathing. The Prude family believes the police are responsible for his death.
I want to know if them officers are going to lose their job and be punished just like any other civilian. And I really would love to see them stand in front of a judge and have their prosecution just like they prosecuted my brother. They was the judge and the jury and executioner.
Joe Prude talking to us about his brother Daniel Prude. Police took Daniel into custody on March 23rd, and he died a week later. Joe Prude says it was another 2 months before his family was informed that Daniel's death was a homicide.
Wow. Wow. That is so deep. And he's right. They did not have to kill this man. They didn't. especially when they had him handcuffed down on the ground and he ends up dead. And I'm starting to think it's standard procedure for them to put a knee on a neck or back while other cops hold down the legs. That's starting to look like a very standard thing that they have been doing all along. Otherwise, why are we seeing it so much? Being on social media has revealed a lot. It has certainly pulled the band-aid off of all of these evil deeds that we were not able to see before, but we can see now. And we see how far these cops will go to get at a black man. Instead of taking him into custody and taking him down to the police station or taking him to a hospital because he had mental issues, they killed him. They killed him on the streets just like George Floyd. Nobody's arrested. And when his brother said, handle these cops like you would any other citizen, what he doesn't realize is these cops got something that the average citizen don't have, and that's qualified immunity. And as long as they have qualified immunity, they feel emboldened to do these things, and they will continue to do it. There's no consequences. They have nothing to worry about. That's why they do it. They don't even care if the cameras are rolling when they're doing this, because qualified immunity tells them there is no trouble they will be in. And no person should be walking around like that, especially a police officer. And this is where they have made life dangerous for many people out here, because now you got these cops with this attitude, oh, they can't do nothing to me. They're not going to do anything to me. So the protests are still in effect up in Rochester, and of course people are outraged and they're angry that they're just finding out about the death of Daniel Prude months later, when this happened way back in March. Just like Breonna Taylor, we didn't find out about her until I think around June or July. So this happened in March. It happened 7 months ago, and we're just hearing about this now. Oh boy. Wow. Y'all, please tell me what you think. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.